accepted.
And in terms of, well, let me ask you this, you dedicated your life to remembering. But it hasn't put an end to genocide. We hear the slogans, never again, and people are being educated all the time about the Holocaust, and yet we have genocide continuing. Is it enough? Is education about what happened enough?
Maybe a few years ago I was invited to address the General Assembly of the United Nations. I gave my address entitled "In the World Ever Learned." I came on with a very sad conclusion. Came on because of that. Otherwise, I was not to explain. I think Rwanda, Cambodia, and so forth. The world has to learn. And yet we try to teach them.
So what makes
Jewish
you...
people tried, and of course those of us who went through certain experiences, we tried, like the bearing witness. What else can one do? No matter what, I'm not giving up the principle of teaching being a major component in survival for our people, for all people.
So, in your book, in your memoirs, you talk a lot about teaching, about your teachers, your experience with your teachers.
I love teaching because I love studying. I'm a good learner. I'm probably the best learner in my class.
So do you think, from what I picked up in your memoirs, you had hunger for learning, and much of it happened, I mean, there was that segment before the war when you were a child in Cheder with the Shamash. But then after the war, you talk about your experience with Shoshani, and it seemed like you had a hunger, and I'll quote from your book, you say about Shoshani, I belonged to him. I gave him my reason and my will. You kind of abandoned yourself to him. Was this the idea of Asay L'Charav? Was this...
No, I would say, let's say, to Lasot was to go with. I don't want my students to follow me. I want them to be with me.
And that is what you felt was happening with your teachers?
The teacher and the student. The relationship between teacher and student is a very mysterious one. The father of the teacher are kidnapped, going to be dead and so forth. Teacher. The mother of Kibbutz. So the answer is that usually the father should also be a teacher. And therefore it's very mysterious because they are there to receive and I am there to give. Where do they meet? Then they too give. I learn more from my students than from my friends and my own teachers. That's why I continue teaching with passion.
Do you have this kind of relationship with your students?
Absolutely. Otherwise I wouldn't accept them in my class.
But it's unusual. It's not the common experience of teachers and students today.
My privilege. I can choose my students. I choose the subjects. I never repeat the subject. My subject.
What are your subjects?
Philosophy, humanities. Every year a different.
Do you think, though, this relationship of student-teacher is unique, is intrinsic to the Jewish ideal of teacher-student, or you find it...
The Greeks also. Socrates and Plato were after all very, very close. Teacher and student. Aristotle the same way. It's ours is more so.
Tell me about the mystery of the relationship between the Rebbe and his students. Or between the Rebbe and yourself.
That is too personal. I think that at the end of it, he had a great talent. One of the greatest and the best, the purest I've ever seen. That when he was alone with anyone, was an opening. He opened in his visitor, in his student, or in his gossip, all the secret doors that we all have.
It wasn't?
It wasn't a break in, it was no. It was just an invitation. That was the greatness of the Rebbe.
But you then also have to know how to be a student.
The student doesn't know that he is a student, what are they? But again, the Rebbe, the person can, my case is different. But usually a person came to see the Rebbe, here they came Hasidim, not student, they don't know. Many. And the Chassid would say he's also a Talmud, but the main thing he was a Chassid.
And how is that just different?
Oh, it's a bit different because the Chassid comes there not only to learn more than that, but to live. It's a chapter in his life. His meetings, listening to the bringer, whatever the Chassid is about. The interesting part is usually that in ancient times, it is the teacher who chooses student. Later on, in Hasidic times, it was the Chassid who chooses the Rebbe. And the Rebbe had no right, the moment the Chassid chose the Rebbe had no right to say no. I studied enough Hasidic experience to know that it was strange. Sometimes the Chassid would go, today you would say shopping for a Rebbe. It's not a Rebbe shopping for a Chassid, the Chassid shopping for a Rebbe. Once he found it, the bound.
What made you come to the Rebbe the first time you came to the Rebbe? What?
I was listening to Chassid, as you know,
Right.
and the Rebbe knew everything. I remember began each meeting. It was Gershon Jacobson was my colleague. He
At
worked,
the Althing?
wasn't the Allgemeine yet. He worked then for the Modern Journal.
Right.
I worked for the Vorwärts and for the Yotafat in Israel. And we would come to see, we met a lot. And we would come and say, you should go and see the Rebbe. I said, Gershon, I'm a vision to us. Same thing, leave me alone, I'm a vision. But then he said, as a journalist, that's how I came for the first time. And then, once I met the Rebbe, it was for always.
What do you carry with you from your own experience as a visionist class in your childhood to today?
I don't go to the Rebbe today. The latest vision Rebbe was in Chamel.
Was?
Rabbi Chaim Meir.
Yeah.
The first one was Reb Scholcher, Rabbi Israel, and Scholcher Harvest Israel. Visions came to me from my mother and from my grandfather.
But your father was not a visionist class? Oh, I picked that up in the book, but it wasn't clear to me. So he was more Litvish? He was more Yeshiva?
No, he never was in Litvish. He was first of all so involved in communal affairs. His mission there was to be the Shmuel, to help those who were in jail, or what happened to be sent back to Poland, which is like an island. Even before, he went to everywhere. He said, yes, I like Hasidus, but not only to one. The rest of my visions, I grew up in visions.
So what stays with you from that?
Well, first of all, the Niburi. And the memories.
Do you think it's a lost world in transplanting? I know after the war, visions was transplanted to Israel and to the United States, but what was lost in the process?
The authenticity. Visions wasn't really visions. Visions wasn't growth of life. Even today, let's say, what we managed to do is to save visions by transferring his geography. The enemy thought he could destroy belts and visions and visions is there, but not there. Not in Hungary or Romania. No, it's in Chabad, in Brooklyn.
But is it the same thing?
It says, Nitmatu Hadorot. In English, some say everything is in English.
You think within the Hasidic communities itself?
The world is our ancient teachers say we are farther away from Sinai, unfortunately, not closer enough to the Mashiach. That is a deep problem, physical problem with the Jewish people. It also, I think, affects the world as such. They're not going forward.
We are going forward?
They are not going forward with Mashiach in Hasidic language. But we are surely going away from Sinai.
So the attempts of the Frum communities, Nancy, just try to set this up for me, please. The attempts in the Frum communities to hold on to it.
Sure.
It's an approximation, or it's
I cannot speak for the full community.
the Hasidic communities?
I'm not their spokesman. But we all try to hang on.
Is that a good thing?
I think it's a good thing, of course.
Because there is that sentiment that, that was then, and we're living in a different time, and let's not look backwards.
I never thought so. No. I wouldn't be who I am, but it would be my link, fire link to my past, my childhood, to this day.
But it remains with you, or do you think you've been able to pass it on to your son, to your...
My son, my grandson. Goes to my students and to my leaders.
Tell me, what do you think the Rebbe wanted to accomplish as a leader, from your perspective?
I cannot speak for him.
From your perspective.
I don't know, I have no perspective on that. I'm not a Lubavitcher Rebbe.
From the perspective of Elie Wiesel.
He's a great leader. I remember once, his maybe 70th birthday, 60th. We booked that time. I came to something where I wrote, Ashrei Hador, Shah Mor Manigo, blessed the generation. The Rebbe, its leader, still does. He accomplished, first of all, really to create a bond. Maybe first of all, with Chassid and Chassid. But it wasn't the only one, it was the same thing before.
It wasn't?
It wasn't the same thing with every Rebbe since the Baal Shem Tov, actually every Rebbe wanted to achieve that. When the Chassid came for the upbringing, it wasn't only to be with the Rebbe, it was to be with each other. But the book Chaverim, they were not tzaddikim, it's not for the Rebbe. The book Chaverim is something else. And he wrote that.
I'm daring to ask these questions because you say that you're not a Lubavitcher. What do you think of the Rebbe's life? Was it a sad? Do you look at the Rebbe as a tragic figure?
I think so. I think so because I'm justly here. He always felt he hasn't done enough. And yet he had done more than anyone inside there. He felt he hadn't done enough. Because somewhere in the world, maybe, who knows, maybe in Nepal, well, he didn't travel, but he knew what was going on. Or there is somebody who needs something. And he felt that. Once you feel that, you cannot feel that. It seems like it's still one person that's always hungry for each other. That's why we have this great idea of children. One of the greatest achievements of the Rebbe is that it's children. Tremendous affection for every one of them, and admiration, and gratitude. Absolutely.
The Rebbe had?
I for the Shluchim.
Yeah.
I have for them. Because they carry not only the Rebbe's message, they carry the Rebbe's sadness and the Rebbe's joy, and the Rebbe's dream. They carry. They are carriers. very, very great miracles that have been performed. How many they are now? 3,000 or more.
4,000.
4,000 already.
Over 4,000.
Every year
We're
is
in
more.
about, we're in about, so we have shluchim that are lining up, they never saw the rhythm, they're lining up and waiting for
I know.
positions.
It's excellent the way they do it. They believe in a strange way. They thinking about the Rebbe's will, that they're fulfilling the Rebbe's will, so that they could go.
So you're saying that's strange?
It's strange because for them, even the Rebbe is not here, but they have the feeling, the connection with the Rebbe is there. It's strange.
How do you explain that?
Explain because the Rebbe's vision is there.
In many cities in Europe, we're seeing a Jewish Renaissance, largely credits to shluchim. Do you feel that Jews that are reconnecting to the roots of the tshuva should make aliyah or should strengthen their?
I'm the last person who should ask on that. If I don't live in Israel, why should I?
Okay, but I guess my question is more, do you feel hopeful about Jewish life blossoming in Europe?
Yes, but not enough. We cannot compensate for what we lost. It's impossible. Mathematically, we lost it.
In terms of numbers?
But the numbers are not simple numbers, they're human beings. Can I recreate what I lost in Syria in my time? And yet, again, it's a movement, it's a will, creative ideas going around.
The Rebbe talked a lot about, because of what we lost in the Holocaust, people should have large families, people should have children, people should. He did focus, of course, the quality was there as well, but numbers were something that he talked about.
People need the numbers. The linear stand cannot make a day. Numbers are numbers. If that means involving human beings.
If that means?
Involving human beings. Abstract numbers.
What do you say to what's going on in places like Norway, Sweden, where there's anti-Semitism, but it's not the pedestrian variety. It's coming from the government itself. There's a hostility towards Israel, towards Jews. We have shluchim there, and they're really going through hell over there. Yeah.
I haven't been back to Scandinavia for many years, so I cannot really answer in general. There is this upsurge of anti-Semitism all over the world. On every level. Even on the intellectual level. The left-wing intellectuals are getting more and more extreme in their condemnation of Israel.
Where do you think that comes from? Do you think it's a gzeira milamala, or do you think it's?
Anti-Semitism is not Milamala. It's going to be Milamala.
So how do you understand it? How do you explain
They
it?
have learned. There are anti-Semites in Germany that is beyond.
You go back there sometimes?
I don't know whether they're only official missions. They didn't know that they don't. And the one who was there, let's say 1945, 46, 47, the destruction that they brought upon themselves. The destruction, those who saw it, how could they even come back? But they did. Nevertheless, to be a German, therefore, is to realize what they have done to themselves. And therefore, anti-Semitism today, how do they do that? Well, they do.
So it's very demoralizing. I mean, you spent your life educating, teaching, talking. We have the slogans of never again, and everybody.
I would never allow them that victory. They should demoralize me. It could be sad, yes, but not demoralizing.
In your memoirs, you mentioned that the Rebbe asked you to write a book about the Alter Rebbe.
And
Tell me about that. First of all, how did that come to be? What is your relationship with the Alter Rebbe?
I studied the Tanya even at home,
Okay.
even when I was a child.
Who taught you Tanya?
I had many teachers. Just Tanya, but it wasn't as it is now. Tanya today
It's been popularized.
I studied the Tanya. I also studied Rabbi Nachman. I studied.
So you are in the process of a book about the Tanya?
I cannot tell you, but it's, I'm superstitious with that.
Really?
I don't speak about things I'm involved now.
So, okay, can you tell us when it's coming out?
It's a few years to be done.
Can I ask you what your objective is? What the purpose of the book is?
You can imagine.
Tell me what you studied today. In your memoirs, you talk a lot about the studying that you did. What do you study today on Shabbos? What are your...
Actually, I studied, I remain with Gemara, naturally. I studied Gemara. Shas, Yerushalmi, Rabbi, I have Shas, and I outside of the Hasidic masters, the first who had the greatest influence on me was Shaul Dilmas from the greatest from the Chachamim, scholars, many generations. For 17 years, we studied. And I see my name and I don't read about it naturally. At one point, he wanted to give me spirit. It's not for me. I don't need it. I don't want it. But the only time I said no to him is for that. And he had never given spirit at all. He said, I don't want it. I studied 17 years.
So that must have been a huge loss when you passed away.
Great loss. What is there?
Has anybody filled his place?
Look, I had friends. One of them is called Menashe Katan. He wrote some 24 volumes of Mishneh Halachot. He and I were together in Auschwitz and in Buchenwald. Then we came back to France. Shoshani, at one point he was afraid of Shoshani. He was scared, like himself. He came to Brooklyn. So I used to sing. Then I had a friend, a cheder fellow from home, very nice of him. The greatest Gaoni.
So you've had your Aseh L'Charab throughout your life. You've had your teachers.
Yes.
You can,
But not many.
but not many. You chose them. You chose them. Is the young Jewish generation today seeking their teachers, choosing teachers? Can you imagine your life had you not had these teachers?
I don't think so. That goes for everything. But I would say if I had not married, when I married, I would have had a son and like that. I can tell you one of the greatest in my life, the greatest bouquet of flowers I've ever received in my life was when I got married.
That was in honor of your wedding, and then when your son had a birthday.
But he was nudging me.
What, to get married? And did that factor into your decision?
Absolutely sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have letters. I read from one letter, and I have letters which I wrote Chabad to give me a lot of money for. But one letter actually is speaking of Jewish theology. 7-8 pages is not the end of it. And we speak theology. At the end, and by the way, he said, when are you getting married? As if the two had something in common.
That everything had to result in a practical.
Then I believe in religion.
Mm-hmm.
Then I believe it's been Hashem.
And then when you had your son, you notified the Rebbe.
Naturally. As if to say, you won.
How was your son today?
My son is going to 40, has 2 children,
2 boys?
1 boy and 1 girl.
So how do you, this is really not for the purposes of the interview, but how do you strike a balance of making sure they know your story, what you went through, but not, we always hear children of the Holocaust grew up, and it's very difficult, and they carry a kind of burden that's...
It's not so difficult. Really, not so difficult. I didn't get that in TV so long ago. So, and one day I had 2 older sisters.
You never talked to them about what happened, you said.
My sisters, strangely.
Do you regret them?
In a way, but I'm
But?
what did you do? We just looked at each other and did nothing. And one of them, Batya, her son is now in Israel. She married the doctor in Montreal. She is the Medallia in Israel. Best neurosurgeons. And they're very close, my son and his name is Steve. They're all Shlomo, my Slavish. And they came to me in the delegation. I should go together back to see the Auschwitz and so on. Only 3 of us, nobody knew. No official reception. Or any of them.
So who went? Your sister? Your son?
My son, my nephew, and myself.
When was it?
When Misha left school, Misha was finished in 2000. Before, no, 1998, it was 4 years of here. In the meantime, for the problem was that they found out that it was president.
So it turned into an official...
It became...
But what did it do to your... What is your son carrying with him, knowing what you...
Oh, he knows.
What is it? Does it put a burden on him? Does it...
We don't talk about it. Must be important, but privilege.
You know, I interviewed Alan Dershowitz last year, Hanukkah, about the young generation, and he said...
He's a good friend, so...
I imagine. And he said, we have to realize that the guilt and the guilt, what was the third thing, don't work anymore. Our children are not going to remain Jewish because of what we went through to be Jewish, because of... And yet, you seem to think, and of course, many of us feel the same way, that there is a burden on the next generation to carry on simply because of what our parents went through, to hold on to it. And they're saying that's not a good enough reason today. That's not a good enough reason.
Maybe we are both right. He knows from his milieu and I know from mine.
But is there an argument that you have to give a younger...
Not at all. We would have to give an argument. He understands absolutely.
No, not to your son. I'm saying, would you make an argument to a young generation that says, so what? So because...
I'm lucky in a way. I never have to give this argument to those who come to study. What will I do?
Well, because they're seeking it, so they're coming to you. Because, we have the phenomenon also in the film community today where a lot of children are dropping out and they're saying, so what? Don't tell me about the Mesiras Nefesh. That's not a bird. That doesn't obligate me.
I understand it too.
You do.
I do. Why not? I have to understand. I don't know. It's not my view, but they feel like that. Who am I to tell them? No. If father and mother they went through all that. What am I to do?
But what do you tell your students, or what is the message to a young generation of Jewish students that 6 million Jews died al Kiddush Hashem because they were Jews, which is what we call Kiddush Hashem. Therefore,
what? Therefore,
No, ובכן, ולכן.
I think it's be Jewish. Be Jewish. Whatever the question is be Jewish.
And do you see a positive trend?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me.
I feel personally whenever I go there, and it has to do with the effect of my work. I get so many letters. I get hundreds of letters. So many. What it does, my books do. Then, furthermore, my dear, how many Christians converted to Judaism and Halachic Judaism because of my books. It's not what I wanted. It's surely not. Just guys, initially, but all one, my books had all kinds of results, but this result I didn't expect. So, of course, my joy is when somebody reads any one of my books, but I've written so much, and they say I feel more Jewish. That just
What did the Rebbe want from you?
cannot tell you.
Chassidim are dying.
It's between him and me.
A question a little bit differently. Okay, what do you think the Rebbe would like to see happen today? In terms of his legacy, in terms of...
I'm sure he was convinced that if Jewish people at all were to repent and do what Jews should do for their people, for the God of Israel and Abraham, as far as they called, Mashiach would come. That was his dream. Prepare the world for the Mashiach. Deep down, that was his dream.
And has he, before he passed away, did he see any
That's why I think he died. Tragic.
tragic
And all that he wanted to be Mashiach, I cannot believe that. That's too tragic. But he wanted to prepare the world for the Mashiach.
So in a way, wouldn't you say that what the Shulchan are doing is,
I hope so.
are you going to ever disclose your correspondence with the Rebbe?
Oh, it's sure. One day.
And what do you think Chassidim are going to come away with?
I hope.
Do you, and again, I don't know if any of this is going to go into the interview, but they have a certain claim to the Rebbe, and they believe that they understood the Rebbe in one way. But I imagine that people like yourself saw him differently.
Not necessarily.
No?
I don't know what they do, but not necessarily.
So it wasn't like when you came to the Rebbe and you looked at the Chassidim and you thought, I have a completely different view of the Rebbe?
It's not my way of thinking. I'm not like you. Not what I am, but what simply come to the Rebbe because I am I. And he is he.
So what did you get when you came to the Rebbe? What did you walk away with? Okay, tell me what I can ask that you can't tell me.
Don't ask.
Huh?
Don't ask.
That's what I'm here for.
Whatever is personal, I can tell. And everything is so personal. We won't be talking about things that were not, about Israel and so forth, kind of things. Always helping what I can do to help more. Personally, yes.
Okay, but then in your personal in your exchanges about personal issues, what was it? Tell me about the Rebbe. What was he filled with? For you as an individual. I mean, we know that he had a love for everybody. Was it your story that had such a hold on the Rebbe that he wanted to have, that he had such a relationship with you? Was it your Was it your role?
Look, he read every one of my books in French.
Oh, really? And he commented to you on it? And in general, you're not going to tell me. What did he applaud them? Did he give you critique on them?
He was a very good reader.
Did he ask questions?
Occasionally we have disagreements in our letters.
Yeah.
But it's
Did he dig his heels in when you disagreed?
I think so, both of us did. Nevertheless, that was always different.
But I'm not going to walk away from here thinking I should have asked. How much claim do you think your students have on you, on a teacher? Do we have, we have in the Gemara where, I don't know who it was, who said that he sort of had a right to hide under the bed of his Tana's teacher?
Hasidic. So, say, under the bed, without obvious to do.
In other words, do we have in your teachers, did you look for their moral behavior, or was it just the information that they gave you?
Knowledge, naturally, and more knowledge.
So you think that in looking for a teacher, we need to find both?
A person who uses the knowledge he gains, I believe, to be the whole dimension of life. I really want him as a teacher.
On the other hand, you have Kabbalat Hamet Mishamro.
If that is their mat, that is right.
But you say that in general, students should look,
I like for morality, absolutely.
even if it's a teacher in science, a teacher of history.
There is always something to do. Must be more. But going around the world, copying, reading, you have compulsory courses on ethics in every school, medicine, architecture, what are we doing in the world?
And are you making strides there?
Sometimes, yes, most of the time, So, what have you learned now since you came?
Well, first of all, I had the privilege of meeting you in person. I read your books from when I was a young girl, and
Where were you born?
here in Crown Heights, born and bred. My mother's a Schneerson, so we're from Beis Harad. But I always wondered, after I read your books, especially when I was very young and I read your books, how you continue? Because it's probably a trivial question.
What was the choice? What was the alternative?
The period in the book that to me, reading it again now, is most is after the war. Thrown in completely without, and you.
Nevertheless, when I came to France, some 400 orphans came to France, and there were 100 religions because they separated between Israel, Laos, and Israel was also one of them. This 100 together. That was the beginning. That was sent to one children's home for religious. And it was very, I became less religious as I was before. Which means it was a beginning. On Friday, I left the children's home, went to Paris to go to Italy. I've done it in secret every day. I went out to Victor every day. Yeah, I found out the nickname. So I tried to be less fluent.
Why?
It's a difficult conversation.
in your conversations with the Rebbe, from some of the, somebody gave out a book now, and it had two of the letters that the Rebbe had written you. It's in avid. One of them, the Rebbe talks to you about, or maybe you mentioned in this book, about God. You spoke a lot about that. It didn't seem like you were that, that there was such a disagreement between you. There was?
Just you have to.
But it seems like you both came to
The
the...
thing is what I have the conscience and he had that there was.
But did he claim they were answers? His answer to the Holocaust was always, we have no answer to it. And nevertheless what? We can't understand.
He said, I'm supposed to understand. Which is the usual answer.
And you say, you leave it as a question.
I want to understand.
You want to understand. And have you, over the years, have you come any closer to understanding?
It's a great, we had a very, very great philosopher poet called Elie Wiesel. I think it was 7th century. And he said, one point of his life, he said, even get a thief, if I do not mention it,
So then what propels the quest? It's beyond our reach. Why continue the quest?
I define myself by my quest, not by what I found. So,
thank you so very, very much.
actually send me to the
I absolutely will. I absolutely will. Truly, I appreciate you so much. And I hope, will there be a time that you will be ready to talk about the things you're not ready to talk about?
I promise you that if I have to, if the time comes,
Yes.
I'll call you.
Would you really?
If I promise. But Lieberman always told me that when he said, don't.
Who told you?
Lieberman, he always, when he spoke to me, he said, Rebbe Eliezer. And I wasn't told, left me a message on the machine. Rebbe Eliezer, the Torah Mater De'aleh. Because a day we didn't study together, the Torah Mater De'aleh. And he would say, Rebbe Eliezer, don't promise anything to anyone. Because if you do, you will have to fulfill, to keep the promise. Whenever I'll be there, never to.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I want to wish you gesund.
Thank you very much. Amen.
Tremendous
Amen.
knowledge.
Amen. Thank you.
Fulfillment of all your goals and objectives.
Amen. Thank you so
Thank you so much.
much.